Hey guys, you're listening to Geek World. We are your superhero super hosts, Anime, Mistress of the Dork, and the man who never stops talking, Dave! Don't forget, if you want to get in touch with us, you can send us an email to geekworldradio@yahoo.com, and be sure to check out our website, geekworldradio.com, for all the great stuff that's there. Check out all the stuff on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/geekworldradio. Be sure to subscribe because, you know, it's awesome.
Yeah, so it is awesome, and I'm glad you said that. But, let's just get going with this show, okay? I don't have time to mess around.
True.
We were very lucky. We got to go to the red carpet premiere of a new anime movie that Funimation put out. What did we go see, Anime?
Code Geass, Lelouch of the Resurrection.
The new Code Geass movie. Yeah. You know, go for it.
Before we say anything, I'm just gonna say there are going to be spoilers in this episode because there kind of have to be.
Yeah, but we'll keep it minimal though, right?
Well, yeah,
because it's coming out right now for people.
It is. But there are simple facts that if you know how, you know, that will. If you haven't watched Code Geass through yet, that will give away certain things of...
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll say mild spoilers.
Yeah, so mainly spoilers of the series, not so many spoilers of the movie.
I also think, like, if you have seen the trailer they put out, it's like, the major spoilers already been spoiled. Damn those marketing people. But, you know,
there really was no choice. The title practically does, too.
It says, there's Resurrections in the title. But, you know, I will say before we get started, well, first off, let's just tell people that if you want to go see this in the theater, before we even talk about it, May 5th, select theaters for the sub, and then the 7th and 8th for the dub. So, now, before we get into this, it is time to come clean. It is time to be honest, okay? Because honesty is the best policy.
Yeah.
We have never watched this anime.
Yeah.
We love anime. We've seen plenty of anime in our life.
Every time we've seen the cosplay for this, we've been like, that seems real cool. We should try and watch it, and then we haven't.
Yeah, the Zero cosplay is dope. You know, all this stuff's great, but for one reason or another, we just have not gotten through this. So it's probably a weird thing for this to be the first thing that we've seen from it, but I think it gives us a different perspective.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. It's like, you know, some of these movies, for some of these series, it's a question of, can you watch them on their own? Like, do you need to know, do you need to be familiar with the series? Do you need to have watched pretty much every episode of the series for it to make sense?
And now, I can't even give really that great of a description of this world because it's kind of bonkers, but essentially it takes place in an alternate timeline where I think America or Britannia has like taken over everything, and basically our character is this prince. The main character of the anime is this prince who's trying to get revenge on essentially the empire, and he has this special power, this Geass. And a bunch of people have these, and his special power is that he can force someone to do anything he wants them to do. So and that can go as far as like kill yourself. And so our main character is Lelouch, and he also has a secret identity of Zero. And there's 2 seasons of the original series, and it goes through all these, like, you know, sort of trials and tribulations, and it's very kind of like you know, it's this kind of cool royalty twists and turns type anime coming from someone who's never seen it, and then it was over for like 10 years until this movie came out. Now they did have 3 films that they put out, I think 2 years ago, and those were more of
sort of a compressed series.
Yeah, they basically
slightly alternate.
Exactly, they told the story of the first 2 seasons, but had alternate storylines for certain characters. But you know, and this is kind of where the spoiler alert starts because we have to do it. So if you are planning on seeing the anime series and do not want to be spoiled, you should stop listening now. 3, 2, 1. So, what happens at the end of the series?
Lelouch dies. He's killed.
He's killed. And he's, like, the main guy. So that's like, uh-oh. So it makes sense that would be the end. So this anime, I don't think it takes place 10 years in that world time, but it's made 10 years.
But a significant amount of time.
A significant amount of time, yeah. Well, let's just get into it. I have to be honest, and this is not, this is nothing to do with this anime. It has everything to do with me. But imagine you've never seen Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Okay? And, like, the first episode you watched was the first episode of this season.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I don't know what's happening. Mm-hmm. I don't know who these people are. It seems really cool, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I was through a lot of the open of this film.
Yeah, this isn't one that starts off in a way that sort of introduces characters. The whole thing is, if you're watching this, you theoretically are a fan of the series. It's it's not how it always is, but it kind of makes sense for this.
Yeah.
You know, all these years later, that it's sort of picking up where things left off.
But I will say, even like we love that movie, The Last Naruto, the movie, and even that like opens up with that like moment between Kid Naruto and Hinata. So they kind of give you that inference of what is going to happen in the story, even if you haven't seen it. With this, you're just like full blast in. Yeah. We don't really get much of an idea of what's happening, at least on the Lelouch side of the world.
Yeah, you don't know who these characters are. They sort of tell you things as you're going, but it's like, they reference the powers as Geass, and again, if you haven't read up on it or you haven't watched it, then you're like, I still don't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's very matter of fact. But it's like, you're at a party and you're talking to people, and either like you just don't know anything they're saying, or you can't understand what someone's saying, but by the way they're saying things, it's good or exciting, or they're angry. That's how it felt like watching this. Like in the open, there's like this big dinner party with all these people that are clearly very important characters in this anime, and I'm like, this is probably awesome. If I had seen this anime, I'd be like, oh look, it's that person I love and this person I love. And that's actually part of the joy of watching this with a crowd too, is like, when someone shows up that's important and stuff. So there's a lot of that, a lot of the character interaction that you're going to like from the series is definitely a big part of this.
Absolutely.
Kind of like in the way that like Battle of Gods kind of felt to me in that regard. Yeah.
Now the one character who isn't very much like they were in the series is Lelouch.
Right.
When it starts off, he's kind of a husk of a man. You know. And he's...
You didn't even be like, in the big reveal, he's back. You just kind of went into it.
Oh yeah, did we not already say that?
No, we didn't. You're so bad at this. You do this every time.
Whatever.
You just assume that the people we're talking to are like somehow,
No, okay. I thought we had.
Big reveal.
Yeah.
About, like, what, I say a quarter into the movie, probably less, is that Lelouch indeed has come back. And
wait, we don't meet up with them till like a quarter of the way in?
Maybe it's like 15 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes, I don't know.
I feel like we meet up with them pretty quickly, because you see Cece and Lelouch traveling, and she's like, taking this like, pretty much shell of Lelouch around.
Oh, you're right, it's at the very beginning. It's that it's the people like being aware. Oh, Lelouch is
okay. So she's essentially taking around this shell of Lelouch.
Dude, he's like super.
And it's because she couldn't let him die. Like they are so connected. Those of you who know the series know why.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so she couldn't let him die, but when she kept him alive, his soul didn't exactly stick with him.
Yeah.
So, part of what she needs to do is get that back for him, hopefully.
Yeah.
And
you're right. This feels spoiler heavy already. I'm like, oh man, I feel like we've given away the whole thing already, and it's only like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. This seems like I'm giving away something big. It's not. Really this is something like that comes into play really early. But early in the movie, Lelouch's little sister, who's sort of running things now, Nunley, she and New Zero, who's we're gonna butcher these names.
Oh yeah. I probably should have had the name ready to go, but I didn't know where you were going.
It's Suzaku.
Suzaku, yeah.
So
who I liked a lot, by the way. I thought it was great.
Well, in the show, he had been an adversary of Lelouch. Well, friends as children, adversaries, and then back to friends again.
Right.
But But,
as they do in anime.
Yeah, but Suzaku, it's sort of taken over the mantle of Zero because Lelouch had been Zero previously, and he was sort of helping to protect Nunnally.
Do you think like every like young Japanese boy has a best friend rival? I gotta be honest. Every anime makes me believe that this is just must be what happens in Japan. Like every boy
Most
has
likely.
their best friend who is also their greatest enemy and greatest rival.
Yeah,
that they
most
at
likely.
some point become best friends with again after some giant fight.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
Pretty sure
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think
totally.
it's a good idea to just make a giant sort of overall theory based
Well,
on
I
that.
mean,
Almost,
since like pretty much every anime has this, then,
yeah,
like
it's got to be.
it must be something everybody experiences.
Well, just like in Japan, everyone has supernatural powers and robot girlfriends, and I know this is a thing. You don't have to. I mean, that's how it works, right?
Yeah,
that joke
totally. I mean,
probably worked.
Yeah, whatever.
Somewhere at some time. Okay, so anyway, what are we talking about? I know what to say though. The show is like one of those funny things where it feels like a lot of what I like about the movie is it feels like the show allows itself to kind of jump around a little bit. Like there were some humorous moments, but then it got like pretty freaking violent out of nowhere. But it's also got that kind of shonen feel to the action. Like it was pretty cool. There was a lot of kind of surprising moments, and it's also weirdly enough very much like a mech battle thing too, which I also was not expecting. Like I knew everybody had like these powers that they could do different stuff. But there's like a lot of different layers to the action.
And that's like straight from where the anime started.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about this is that despite the fact that we didn't really have a familiarity with the characters or anything that had happened previously to this, those first few minutes are incredibly confusing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're still able to get into it.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think, it's a weird thing, and I don't recommend necessarily watching this without also watching at least take on those three movies.
You should probably watch, or at least the first of the three movies. Yeah, I mean, I like that they did that because that way, like, because it can be hard to ask, even if the seasons are only like 10 episodes, still, it's like a lot of time, but I'm glad they consolidated the story into movies.
Yeah, but if you do go into it for some reason, having never seen anything of it, you're gonna be really confused in the beginning.
Yeah.
But then you're gonna like feel like you know the characters well enough that you're just totally cool going on the ride with them.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I felt too. I mean, once I felt like I was like dropped into a foreign land and had to learn the language, like 13th Warrior or something. But I felt like once basically what you're saying, once I got what was happening, like I was pretty intrigued. I thought the flow of the movie was really cool, and it was always interesting. The characters are kind of constantly in peril, and there seems to be a lot of stuff being worked out emotionally speaking with a lot of people too, especially like the Lelouch and what's his name again? Suzaku stuff. I really liked that.
Well, it's funny because you're watching it, and like throughout the entirety of the movie, they keep on sort of explaining things.
Yeah, they do.
But it's like, oh, okay, this would have made that part in the beginning make much more sense had I known this. Yeah.
I really like Lelouch too. Lelouch has got this. All I can think about is he's like the badass Prince of Tennis.
Yeah.
Like he's got that whole like sort of demeanor and attitude of like one of those shonen sports like characters, because he's very precise, very clinical, but he's kind of a ruthless murderer too. And he's dope. And I also really, even though like there was some tropiness, especially in the kind of overt sexuality of the villain, I thought the villain was kind of awesome in this movie. There's this the woman. There's this woman who's the villain, and she, of course, has her own set of powers and her own sort of
her own Geass,
and her own her own plans. Obviously, we won't get into, but she was like a really cool villain, and I thought like a really good match against Lelouch, who they've already built up as like like this amazing kind of like overpowered character already.
Yeah, well, and it's an interesting thing because the main villain, it's actually her and her brother. And while she's sort of like, leading things on the ground, her brother is like on the front lines.
Yeah, and it makes like kind of a nice thing because, the whole team has to get together in order to stop them. And also Lelouch needs to deal with, this resurrection.
Yeah.
It's funny too. There's bits of it that remind me of like, it's very supernatural in some ways, like
Supernatural, like the show, or
no, just Supernatural in general.
Okay.
I keep on thinking of Buffy actually, of like when people would come back in Buffy or other things like that, and they wouldn't quite be right. They'd have to kind of deal.
Yeah,
with,
they have to sort of find themselves again and figure out who they are and who they want to be.
So in a way, also like Supernatural, like when Sam came back many years ago. But yeah, I definitely dug it. I definitely thought it was cool. But yeah, it would have probably served me better to have been slightly more familiar with the world before I walked into the theater.
Yeah, but I still had a really good time.
Yeah, me too. I did too. And I think I think that, as a fan, this is going to be a really big deal because it's clear that they deal with a lot of the fallout of the end of the series. And also, it's just, I'm assuming all the cool stuff from it is in this. Like I said, like there was quite a bit of like mech battling that was really cool and really really fun. And there was all the Geass stuff is also super dope. And yeah, I really loved it. I mean, and that's kind of maybe all I can say about it because I don't really know. I'm kind of talking in circles now, but yeah, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said what I think, that I had a good time watching it. It was super confusing at the beginning because we didn't really have the context for it. But, it was easy to go on the ride. And, you get enough of the characters where they are at that point. And enough people telling you that, like, what's wrong with Lelouch? Like, this is how he should be. So, so you realize pretty quickly that he is, like this is not him at all, because in the beginning, like I said, he's just the shell essentially, and so Cece has to, when we say take care of him, it's like she practically has to like feed him and carry him around, not quite that much, but practically.
100%. And I think also there's a real cool kind of Hunger Games element to the world. It definitely feels sort of dystopian and I mean, I don't know. You're looking off. You're like, I don't know about that. Also, the cat. Also at the screening, the cast was there.
Yeah.
And also, one of the producers was there who had some really cool things to say. Yeah. I will say though that
wait. So just a little bit on the storyline, like at the beginning. I don't think I mentioned it, but Suzaku and Nunnally, they get captured by the bad guys.
Yeah.
And so the big thing is to go save them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where, it's a mix of that plus the whole, get Lelouch's soul back.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that, but mainly let's save Nunnally and Suzaku.
Let's save them all. Gotta save them all.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's pretty much all we have to say. We, though not being familiar with the show, very much enjoyed Code Geass, Lelouch of the Resurrection. If you guys want to go see it, it will be out this week in select theaters, May 5th. For the subtitled version, if you're a purist in that way. And also May 7th and 8th for the dub. So you can go to FunimationFilms.com to see if it's in a theater near you.
Mm-hmm.